The hedge fund guys, Goldman Partners, and private equity sharks are locked and loaded. They got in early, before you even knew the game had started. SpaceX. Bloomberg is calling it the biggest IPO of all time. Now I'm sharing an access code that could let you grab a pre-IPO stake before Elon makes the announcement. The door is open, but not for long. Go to earlybirdIPO.com to see how to claim yours before the door closes. That's earlybirdIPO.com.
Welcome to Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. Hear thousands of hours of Dennis's lectures, courses, and classic radio programs. And to purchase Dennis Prager's Rational Bibles, go to DennisPrager.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Dennis Prager, and this is the Ultimate Issues Hour. Every week at this time, I devote an hour to some great topic about life, and they're endless. I wondered when I began the Ultimate Issues Hour, would I eventually just run out of topics? How many ultimate issues can there be? We are in no danger of that, my friends. How long have we been doing this now?
Started in August of 2006.
Started in August 2006, and this is now April of 2012. That's 6 years. The reason I did that, folks, was just in case we want to broadcast this 6 years from now. We now it's like when you predate a check or post-date a check, so we could post-date some shows. Yes, indeed. Welcome to the Dennis Prager Show and the Ultimate Issues Hour. The subject is a dual, and it is, what is racism, and is America racist? These are huge subjects, and they are obviously in the news. And I'm going to play for you some clips from the State of the Black Union Conference that just took place. The dictionary definition I read to you: a belief or doctrine that inherent differences among the various human races determine cultural or individual achievement, usually involving the idea that one's own race is superior and has the right to rule others. That's very good. That happens to be a very good definition. A belief or doctrine that inherent differences among the various human races determine cultural or individual achievement. That's exactly right. Now, who in that regard were racist? Well, for example, those who held that a person who had black skin had less value as a human being than someone of white skin. That's the classic example. Or that having black skin determines the not just your value, but your traits. You are not capable of handling, I don't know, neurosurgery. I don't know what. I'm making something up. That's classic. The Nazis were classic racist. Being a Jew meant that you had certain traits and therefore were worthy of death. All right? So those are the most obvious classic examples. The Japanese had it. The Japanese believed that non-Japanese were inherently inferior. Just did, and that's part of the reason that they treated prisoners of war so horrifically and why they treated Chinese so horrifically. And Koreans. The Japanese had a very, very strong doctrine of being the superior race and that race determines one's worth. Even after the war, I remember they would not accept Vietnamese boat people, whereas many other countries did, because they didn't want to pollute the purity of the Japanese race. So that's what racism is. Racism has become so distorted, so beyond what it actually means, that people don't even know what it means any longer. And I naturally, I hold colleges responsible for this, because they are the idea places, and they have distorted the notion beyond recognition. So have activists, which is usually synonymous for our dear fellow Americans on the left, for whom if somebody mentions that, let's see, there's a disproportionate number of blacks born out of wedlock, born with no father present or no married parents, then that means could suggest that the person is racist, suggesting that black crime is a serious problem in the United States. That would mean you are racist. It holds for any group. I mean, my God, I remember I can't believe I did that hour on Asian drivers. Remember that, Alan? We did, is any stereotype allowable, or does it inherently mean racist? And I took the most innocuous one I could offer, because Asians score higher on IQ tests than anybody else, including whites, and do so well. So nobody could charge some inherent view of inferiority there. But people have a view of some Asian drivers, whether right or wrong, that's what they have. In fact, I had Asian callers call in, and they said they shared the same view. But that's a separate issue. In any event, racism is the belief that your race determines your qualities and your worth. That's what racism is. Now, my own view of racism has always been that it's obviously evil, but as obvious as it being evil is that it is stupid. That my knowing that you are a member of a given race tells me nothing about you. Nothing. That's a given. And the motto of my show, one of the few mottos, I have a couple of mottos, and one is, there are only two races, the decent and the indecent. It is not my own quote. It is from Viktor Frankl, and it is a terrific line. I divide the world between the decent and the indecent, not between black and white, or between any other ethnic or racial or even religious groups. So that's racism. There's really now, if you have a problem with that definition, please call me, 1-8-PRAGER-776. I guess another form of racism would be where you regard all members of a certain race as worthy of being treated in a worse way than you would treat members of another race. I guess that would be another example of racism. Now, the bigger question is not what is racism. The bigger question is America racist? This is a fundamental question of our time, and my position is that America is the least racist society in the world. And my proof is this, that a person of any color, any ethnicity, who moves to this country is more likely to feel at home and part of the majority culture than moving to any other country in the world will enable them to feel a member of that culture. I give as an example a recent one. I was in Singapore recently. Some of you will recall I had a Singapore professor on my show. And I said to him, I'll be in Singapore in a few weeks. Why don't we have lunch? And in fact, I did show up at his office. He couldn't that day. He had just come back. But I did with his assistant. We met. We had a wonderful time. We should put the picture up, actually. And that was a great bonus. His assistant was a Hindu, a woman from India, and a Hindu. And her name was Preeti, Preeti. And she was just a joy to meet. We spent a couple of hours together, and she's a married Hindu woman living in Singapore who had lived in the United States, in rural Texas and in New York City. You can't get much more different than rural Texas and New York City. She told me with no prompting, none, how hard it was for her to leave the United States. As a Hindu woman, the only two places on earth she felt fully comfortable in were India, her home, and the United States of America, including rural Texas. I forgot the city. I was a city I'd never heard of, in fact. I would have her on live, but I'll have to record it because the time zone difference makes it impossible. I'm not going to wake her up in the middle of the night to have her on American radio. But that was something I will explain when we come back. How is it that a Hindu woman can feel so comfortable in America, and she's been all over the world, and she loves Singapore, but it was the United States that she felt at one with? Why? When we come back on the Dennis Prager Show.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
Here's something most people don't know. When Warren Buffett was just 13 years old, he didn't put his money into a savings account. While other kids were earning next to nothing at local banks, Buffett put $114 into a little-known investment. Today, that $114 would be worth over $15 million. And it wasn't a risky trade. It wasn't even insider knowledge. It was an account that's been around since 1888. And over the last 25 years, it's averaged 29% a year. That's what happens when your money is allowed to compound. Compare that to today's savings accounts, paying less than 0.5%. While inflation quietly eats away at your buying power. Buffett understood early, banks are great businesses, just not for savers. If you'd like to see what some investors call the 29% account, go now to secretaccount29.com. That's secretaccount, the numbers 29.com. Secretaccount29.com.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
This is the Ultimate Issues Hour. Some great issue of life. Is America racist, and what is racism? I define racism. For once, I found the dictionary definition number 1 to be completely accurate. And in any event, whatever definition you give, the United States, whatever, I think, valid definition, I mean, serious definition, you give, the United States is the least racist country in the world, probably in world history. Though I know the world today better than I know whether to compare it to ancient Rome, though I suspect that we're better than ancient Rome at accepting members of every other race as one of us. The Hindu woman was the classic example, what she described. Even with regard to blacks, where we do have the original sin, it is an original sin of racism in this country, of slavery, of Jim Crow, of segregation, absolutely, lynching. I mean, it can never be denied. It should never be forgotten. But I'm talking about today. And with regard to blacks today, the one of the pieces of data I love to cite is that more black Africans have moved to this country voluntarily post-slavery than in the entire centuries of slavery. Because black Africans know that they will do well here, just as this Hindu woman did. I will have to have her on. You need to hear. Yeah, you need to hear from her. The comfort level, and remember, it wasn't just New York, it was rural Texas as well. Yep. One day, should America decline, one day people will look back and wonder, how did people living in that country that was so much more a land of opportunity for everyone of every background than any other place, how come it produced so many ingrates? How did that happen? That will be worthy of many PhD theses. In light of the question, is America racist, I have some excerpts from, let's see, it is the State of the Black Union. It was in New Orleans. When did this take place? Was it yesterday?
February.
Oh, in February? It's from February. Okay. So the State of the Black Union took place, so that's 6 weeks ago. And let's see. It is one of the, from the description I have here, is one of the biggest African-American events held annually by Tavis Smiley and televised on C-SPAN for the entire day. Smiley got together the most prominent black leaders, intellectuals, and business leaders. Well, I don't agree. The most prominent on the left. I doubt if Shelby Steele was there, or Larry Elder was there, or Basic Economics. Tom Sowell was there. Or Jack McWhorter was there. I doubt if these people were there, let alone Bill Cosby. Anyway, now, let's see. Oh, there was one black conservative, Michael Steele, the former lieutenant governor of Maryland, and he was decidedly apolitical. All righty, so let's see here. So let's hear some. We have 7 clips. The first one is from Michael Eric Dyson, and he is, as described here, one of the black intellectual community's brightest stars, Georgetown University's. He's a university professor. That's the highest honor a university can give a professor, being called a university professor. And he went to Princeton, or taught at Princeton as well, but he's at Georgetown. Michael Eric Dyson. And let's hear what some of 40 seconds of what he had to say.
So I think, Tavis, there's no question that the problem of the 21st century continues to be wrestling with this fundamental problem of the identity of the despised and the degraded and the demoralized black masses, along with others who have been similarly, though not uniquely, treated to such a powerful and negative force called white supremacy, social injustice, and in this case, economic inequality. There's no question about that. We sit here in New Orleans. New Orleans is, as you said, a powerful municipal metaphor for the malady at the heart of not only of American culture, but the kind of global crisis of capitalism.
Wow. Wow. That's who the universities honor. This is Marxist claptrap that I studied when I was an undergraduate. It's painful to me to hear such drivel because people suck it up. They loved him. I mean, they loved him. The demoralized, oppressed and demoralized black masses. White supremacy continues to be the fundamental problem of the United States. White supremacy. Hey, any of you listening meet a white supremacist recently? Read any white supremacy? These people on the left don't live in the 21st or the 20th century. They live in the 19th century. The further left you get, the more you return to 19th century paradigms. They have not rethought a single thing. They are the opposite of progressives. They are truly the reactionaries of our time. They live in 2 centuries ago. When Marx analyzed the crisis of world capitalism, Katrina is paradigmatic of the crisis of world capitalism. Katrina is paradigmatic of nothing. It's paradigmatic of natural tragedy combined with a less than effective governmental response. That's what it is. That's what it's paradigmatic. It is not paradigmatic of racism. Whites were disproportionately affected, as Larry Elder pointed out yesterday, because the older were more affected, and there were more old whites than old blacks living in New Orleans. And that's it. This is white supremacy continues to be fundamental thing. At Georgetown University, is that a Catholic university, or nominally was? University professor. Let's hear another clip from him.
First of all, you can have ventriloquists, right? There are folk, sometimes when women speak, patriarchy never has a better voice, right? You could be a female articulating an anti-female proposition. You could be a Negro articulating racist perspectives because the plantation is portable and your mouth becomes a freeway for its articulation. No question about that. So I'm for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, not Clarence Thomas, and he a Negro all day long.
Boy, they love that. They love that. Clarence Thomas not black enough. He's a Negro. We return on Is America Racist? Dennis Prager Show. You're listening to the Dennis Prager Show, the Ultimate Issues Hour. The questions of this hour have been, what is racism, which we spoke of briefly, and is America racist? My belief is that America is the least racist country in the world today, has been for most of my adult life. That is why people from so many countries, including African countries, who move here in great numbers, feel so welcome, so at ease, and integrate so well. The original sin, which it is, of America, of racism, is the great scourge of our history. There is no question about it. But my question is not, was America racist? My question is America racist? And let's go to Whittier, California, and Charles. Charles, thank you for calling. Dennis Prager. Hello, Charles.
Yes, Dennis?
Yes.
Hi. Dennis, I love you, man, but I have a couple of challenges with you on this whole subject of race, specifically as applying to African Americans. Dennis, unfortunately, you were one of the only people I've ever heard to justify the Rodney King beatings. That's the first thing, Dennis, and that calls me to question your credibility on the whole subject of race as it applies to African Americans.
Because you feel that if Rodney King were white, I would have had a different position?
No, not.
No, it has to, because you're making a race issue out of what I didn't think was a race issue.
No, I'm saying, Dennis, I think...
No, I know what you're saying, so tell me, if Rodney King had been white, do you think I would have had a different position? If a man had been wanted by the police, sped through neighborhoods, risking people's lives at tremendously high speeds, fleeing the police, then taunted the police when they caught him, the guy in the car totally untouched, of the exact same color, and only the parts of the beating shown on national television when the rest of the tape showed his provocative conduct, then do you think that I would have said, had they done the exact same thing to a white, I would have said the police were terrible and wrong?
No, Dennis, I think that the police acted out of they lacked total restraint in that case, Dennis.
Wait. That's not my point, Charles. You said that I have no validity on the issue of racism because I didn't think that the police were acting in a racist manner. But so I'm asking you, if Rodney King had been white, do you think I would have had a different position?
Dennis, I'm going to have to give you credit there. I think you got me there, Dennis.
Okay. Now, what's the next one?
The next one, I think you got me there, I'll be honest. Okay, but as far as the Genesis 6, Dennis, you drove me crazy. You had a reporter there. Now, you had this black student who at an assembly, asked to sit under a whites-only tree. He asked that to the principal. The principal says you can sit wherever you want. Okay, the next day, after the student sits under that tree, nooses are hung on that tree.
Okay, all right. So, Charles, listen to me carefully. I'm going to let you go on hold so you'll be able to hear. The Gina 6 has been covered by the Christian Science Monitor and by other liberal newspapers to a degree that, as you note, the entire issue has ceased to be part of the rhetoric, except for Barack Obama, who raises it in front of black audiences to his great discredit. As it turns out, everything had an innocent explanation. Everything. The nooses had nothing to do with lynching blacks, which is what we all thought, including me. I thought so too. We have learned what you just described were all original charges. Now that we know the whole story, it is entirely different. Up at PragerRadio.com, at the blog, you will find the Christian Science Monitor article describing the entire issue. The villains in this issue were the media, who wanted to create what they have all been taught at journalism school and at graduate school, an image of a racist America, especially in the South. And I'm glad you called. And to Charles' credit, I mean, he was very adamant. And then I asked him the key question. I may be wrong on the Rodney King analysis, although it's in my book. My analysis is in Think a Second Time, the most important, I think, of my 4 books. But it has nothing to do with race. That's the point. Nothing. All right. 1-8-PRAGER-776. When we come back, more excerpts from the Black State of the Union conference that just took place and your calls. You are listening to the Dennis Prager Show.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this. Your beloved dog and a stranger are both drowning. You can only save one. Who do you save? Every time Dennis Prager asks that question, his audience splits three ways. 1/3 chooses the dog, 1/3 chooses the stranger, and 1/3 aren't sure. Why? Because we live in an age where increasingly feelings define right and wrong. But if morality is based on emotion, then murder, rape, and theft are just opinions. And if people feel justified, why is rioting or destruction wrong at all? In his new book, If There Is No God, Dennis Prager explains why civilizations cannot survive without objective morality and why Judeo-Christian values shape the moral foundations of the free world.
If you claim that certain things are good, certain things are evil, independent of how you feel about it, you are, in effect, affirming God.
If There Is No God by Dennis Prager. Available now at PragerStore.com. That's PragerStore.com. Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
Ultimate Issues Hour. Big one. Is America racist? And what is racism? And let's go to some of your calls and then some more clips from the couple of weeks ago or a little over a month ago conference on the state of Black America. We're gonna invite my friend Tavis on. Tavis and I go back many, many years in radio, and we've always had a very good rapport. So I'm going to have him on. I'm going to ask him these questions. We'll have him in studio, in fact, so I can really intimidate him. No. It's dark humor, folks. It's all it was. And it's actually self-deprecating in its own way. Let's go to Pete in Sunland, California. Pete, Dennis Prager, thank you for calling.
Oh, Dennis, it's a pleasure to speak to you. I've listened to you for numerous years.
Thank you.
And man, I thank you for helping me see the light and move from the Democratic side of the aisle to the conservative side of the aisle.
Well, welcome to the light.
And man, just not to get off point, but it's so blatant every day as I watch the news, the media. And I didn't see this years back when you were saying this as I was listening to you as a younger person. But it's totally clear now, and I do thank you.
Great.
Well, I was going to tell you that I work as a musician in the film and music business.
What do you do?
I write music. I'm a composer.
What type of music?
Pretty much I write whatever the gig is, from jazz, R&B, new age, whatever they ask, they'll hire me for. I'm not a scorer, but I do write the soundtrack for those.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I get in debates daily with my friends, either over a cold beer or just at work, and they think that I'm out of my mind, that I don't see the racism that they see. And these are my white friends. They tell me that the reason we get poor seating, because if I'm with them, it's because of me. They'll tell me that the reason we're...
Wait a minute. Poor seating where?
At a restaurant.
At a restaurant. What? By the way, I promise to all my listeners, what I am about to ask is sincerely meant.
Yes.
What is a poor seat in a restaurant?
Well,
I am so naive. What does that even mean?
Well, for me, it doesn't.
Is it in
matter
the kitchen?
The meal is delicious.
No, well, I'm with you, but I'm not kidding. What is a poor seat in a restaurant? No, tell me. They must have a strong view on this subject.
They do.
So what? So tell me. No, I'm not kidding you. What is a poor seat in a restaurant?
For my friends, it seems that they like to be more in the, as you would say, the center of a restaurant, and rather the corners or the outskirts.
I'd rather be in a corner because it's quieter.
It's quieter. It's more serene. I don't have to listen to all
the reason I'm asking is they have set up a scenario where wherever you'd be seated, they would say it was a poor seat because you're black.
Thank you.
If it's in the corner, you see, they're sticking a black in the corner. If it's in the center, they put them in the noisy area.
And this happens, but they seem to find these scenarios in everything that we do together. I'm being one of the few black in the circle of friends. They point out for me what I don't see when I'm with them. And I say, I don't know what you're talking about, guys. I'm comfortable. I've got a great smile for my waitress, my waiter, maitre d'. I feel totally comfortable, and I'm enjoying myself. You guys are actually making me want to leave now.
That make you throw up?
Thank you.
Frankly,
completely.
it would ruin my meal.
And when it comes to work, they tell me that, wow, you're not working on that project because they don't think you can do that kind of music. I said, why? Because I'm black?
Well, no, because of the
I
evident omission of blacks from American musical life. That's why they have they picked a pretty lousy area to prove racism. Popular music.
They'll tell me you should have gotten that gig because you can do that kind of music.
I see. They're basically, friends are trying to make you miserable.
And it's amazing because I don't. I think what they're actually really upset about is that I have basically told them that I am going to vote for Senator McCain.
Yeah.
And I'm appalled at all the brouhaha and the dishonesty surrounding Barack Obama. And it just really is sickening me.
You're exactly the kind of guy I want to meet. Send me an email. You're a delicious soul, if I may be. I don't know, mixed metaphors here. Well, isn't he? It was this type of guy. I got to tell you a joke. I never tell jokes. If I'm funny, it's spontaneous. But here's a joke that Jews tell on exactly this subject. It's about a guy. This is a very old joke. It's like from the 20s or 30s. No. When did radio begin? About the 20s and 30s. So in the beginning of radio, but could have been last year. This guy goes to try out for a job. In radio, and he comes back, and his friend said, "So, did you get the job?" And he goes, "No," and the guy says, "Well, why not?" Because they're anti-Semites. It's a joke, and it's a beauty of that joke. And please, if you stutter, it's not a joke about you. It's a joke about false accusations of anti-Semitism, because obviously. You can't stutter and have a radio job as a general rule. I mean, just that there were limitations on any specific thing. You can't be a pilot if you don't have 20/20 vision. All right. Anyway, so that was a joke Jews would tell about other Jews who, no matter what, always saw anti-Semitism. Does that mean there was no anti-Semitism? No, my God, there was. But it is. There are people who see it where it isn't. And certainly that is particularly true about racism today. We go to the next clip here. What are we up to? Are we still on Dyson here? Let's skip that one. Let's go to number 4. What do you like? Oh, another black academic at this State of the Black Union address, or Black State of the Union conference, Cornel West of Princeton. Number 5.
The condition of democracy is to come to terms with the catastrophic. And that's why it is so very important we are here in New Orleans. Because the slave ship was catastrophic. The plantation was catastrophic. Jim and Jane Crow was catastrophic. Teaching black people to hate themselves is catastrophic. Katrina was catastrophic. There's a history of coming to terms with the catastrophic. And the condition of truth allowing suffering to speak, the condition of democracy coming to terms with the catastrophic means that black people's doings and sufferings become the very key to the understanding not only of what it means to be human in America, but what it means to create an American democracy.
Shame on Princeton. We'll be back in a moment.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
Here's something most people don't know. When Warren Buffett was just 13 years old, he didn't put his money into a savings account. While other kids were earning next to nothing at local banks, Buffett put $114 into a little-known investment. Today, that $114 would be worth over $15 million. And it wasn't a risky trade. It wasn't even insider knowledge. It was an account that's been around since 1888. And over the last 25 years, it's averaged 29% a year. That's what happens when your money is allowed to compound. Compare that to today's savings accounts, paying less than 0.5%. While inflation quietly eats away at your buying power. Buffett understood early, banks are great businesses, just not for savers. If you'd like to see what some investors call the 29% account, go now to secretaccount29.com. That's secretaccount, the numbers 29.com. Secretaccount29.com.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
It is so sad. There are more excerpts here. Should we do one more? Let's see, 38 seconds. Yeah, let's do this one. Cornel West, a black professor, also huge name at Princeton. Go ahead. That'd be number 6, yeah.
We've been living in a political ice age, which is a historical period where it's fashionable to be indifferent to the suffering of others, especially the most vulnerable. And for 30-some years, we've had ways of life in which people could turn their backs to the catastrophic circumstances in our society. And we're shattering that indifference. We are living in an unprecedented moment today in which we are witnessing the melting of the political ice age, where the catastrophic circumstances in America and around the world become more visible. And the Obama campaign is a symbol of that.
Oh, all right. Okay, the catastrophic nature of racist America and the oppressing of its black masses. The Dyson language was really something. I studied Marxism at the Russian Institute of Columbia. That was my field, communist studies. I mean, this is truly, it's like listening to a guy from the 19th century who had just read Marx. The oppressing of the black masses, that's awesome. If you're a member of the black masses, give us a call. Always wonder who these people are. But at Georgetown University, when you're a university professor and you live in the world of theory and you have tenure, meaning you can say anything no matter how ridiculous and you can't lose your job, you can still do that. Oh, my dear friends, let me just say this, because we have so many good calls, and it does. I'm sincere from the depths of my heart that I wish I could take all of your calls. Reggie, Michael, Harry, Bobby, Richard, Jimmy, from around the country. I will leave you, though. I have to leave you with a thought because we have just a minute to go here. The notion that America is racist hurts everybody. It hurts America because it breeds ingratitude to something worthy of gratitude. So it's an immoral statement, that which breeds ingratitude. But the biggest victims by far of the belief that America is racist are those who believe it and who feel that they are its victims. In this case, those blacks who believe it. I cannot think, and I'm serious, I cannot think of a worse way to wake up every day than to think your society loathes you. To walk around and think that the average person who is not a member of your race wants to put you in the worst seat of the restaurant. Whatever that means. I wrote a book on happiness, and I can't think of anything less conducive to a happy, healthy life than the belief that America is racist. This is Dennis Prager.
This has been Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. Visit DennisPrager.com for thousands of hours of Dennis's lectures, courses, and classic radio programs, and to purchase Dennis Prager's Rational Bibles.
Let me tell you something. The hedge fund guys already got theirs. Goldman Partners, done deal. Private equity sharks, locked and loaded. They got in early, before the announcement, before the frenzy, before you even knew the game had started. That's how it's always worked. Bloomberg is calling SpaceX the biggest IPO of all time, a company reportedly worth over $1 trillion. There is a way for everyday investors to potentially gain exposure before the public feeding frenzy begins, before the headlines, before the momentum traders, before regular investors get shut out again. But here's the truth. Windows like this don't stay open forever. If you want to see how you can get your hands on this pre-IPO access code, go to earlybirdIPO.com. That's earlybirdIPO.com. Because the biggest gains are usually made before the crowd shows up. Go to earlybirdIPO.com today.